So, once again, a very good evening to each and every one of you. This is our masterclass Saturday evening session. We are on the 14th of September, Saturday. It's just 3 minutes past 4 o'clock. And like every Saturday, the first few minutes, we're going to take a look at the Nifty, the sectors, and we take a call on how we should position ourselves next week. So what do we have? What we have and what we were looking at, let's I think begin from where we left the market last week, is we were looking at a correction and a pullback. This is what we were looking at last week to begin the week with. And all that we were saying is, listen, these lows, once these lows are breached and if it closes below this, then that will tell us that this can extend on the downside in an ABC or a 1, 2, 3 kind of a format on the downside. So be careful and cautious. And this kind of anticipation that the market can cool off was not a wrong one, because when we merged the readings that we found on the weekly, it kind of told us the same thing. Listen, let's be careful. But the market had something completely different back of its mind, and it gave us a small little pullback. The small little pullback was still considerable because it still had to deal with some resistances, and I had drawn these anchored VWAP and all that. And out of nowhere, I think it was Thursday afternoon trade, a crazy move takes the index to an all-time high led by a few buying in the large caps, and all of a sudden the chart looks wow, the daily chart looks wow, back to normal. And now we are left today to figure out what do we make sense of this and how do we proceed next week. So I'll start with the top down. I'll start with the weekly. Now the weekly's inhibition, drop of momentum of the chart, back-to-back two red HAGBs are still there. There was a red HAGB last week, and last week also there's a red HAGB. So the weekly chart is telling us, listen, there is a sign of slowdown, consolidation, and that has led to a bit of a volatility and choppiness. We can see that it's an outside bar on the weekly time frame, a mild little range expansion. But signs of slowdown and signs of divergences are relevant, is there very much. So the weekly reading is, trend is bullish, momentum is not that bullish, very early signs of slowdown. Momentum has not completely reversed, I would say. So the trend is up, so the going can continue. So 25 and above the current highs, the market can hold very well above the 25k and extend further up. On the downside, it will have to be a slip below last week's low. It has to be a proper close below last week's low, and then only can someone think of any bit of bearishness. Before that, I don't think so it makes sense from the weekly chart. So which means that from the weekly time frame, the markets is predominantly bullish, which is the case. Trend is still strong, and so we will stay cautiously bullish. Because the momentum is not giving me that assistance, I'm using the word cautiously bullish. All right. Range is just simple. Last week's high low. Very simple. Now, any move above last week's high will look like what we call as a breakout. So the moment you get a fractal breakout, the moment you have a fractal and you have a fractal breakout, always keep your eyes open and check whether this turns out to be a breakout failure or not. You have to be careful here going forward. Any bullish move from here on, don't just, take it very, what should I say, complacent. Don't be that. So you need to be careful about the breakouts. Coming to the daily chart, looks fine. Looks like a nice little pullback and bounce back. From a bearish or from a predictive point of view, will it take a look like a double top? I don't know. Only this will tell us that. So strategically, it's fairly bullish on the daily. Our T1, M1, our T1, T2 indicators have turned bullish. This is trying to pick up. 75-minute time frame is back to its previous highs and looks a little stretched, but who knows. even if it cools off. The last breakout zone for the 75-minute time frame was this one, which is 25 160 150. So we can say 25 100, 25 200. 25 100 to 25 200 on the downside. The structure is fine. Bullishness stays. We add a dash, we say cautiously bullishness stays. So we will predominantly look for long trades. Fine. Are we going to go short? No. Why? Because there's no signs, evidence of going short over here. There's a sign of slowdown here, not enough to go short. Okay? So we're not going short on the index. We are being cautiously bullish in this entire scenario. All the analysis that we had done here, if you remember, for the last couple of weeks, you can notice that you can do your bit and you can find some decent levels. The markets can just have a different story whatsoever, right? At times it does come very close, respects those levels and bounces. At times it doesn't. So this is one of those examples that the market kind of bounced back from. Yes, there was a little bit of a volumes over here and it has created here, but not enough cues that the market will bounce from here. There were not much cues. Now, the broader markets, 500 looking very clean, looking very nice. Now there is a bit of a divergence, there's a bit of a momentum slowdown. There's no red HAGB here, so broader market seems to be fine. Mid cap seems to be okay, small cap seems to be okay. In fact, all that I'm going to share with you once again. I do this like a parrot every time, but that's my job. That's my responsibility towards you. Whenever you see a fractal breakout, just be tad careful. Don't get carried away. Even if you're going long, be extra careful with your longs. Any hint of a reversal, you need to turn on a dime. That's the most important and at times difficult thing to do for a trader like us is bullish, everything is fine, going. Wait a minute. Just reverse. You need to pull the plug quick. So when it comes to important fractal breakouts, when you see 2-3 fractals and it's breaking out, be a little careful. Of course, both of us want this market to go further up, but these are the kind of structures which creates that trap. So थोड़ा सा हम लोग careful रहेंगे when it comes to the mid cap. Now, the sectoral indices, starting with, of course, the most important one. Okay, by the way, I have my sectoral indices stacked up over here for you in these grids. So this is the daily chart. Let me just open the weekly. So 500 mid cap and small cap weekly, and their ratios. This will not make much sense. This doesn't make sense. These seems okay. It is giving us a little bit of a hint. The ratio chart is giving us a little bit of a hint that mid caps are doing relatively better than the small caps over a period of, I say, couple of quarters. That's it. Nothing much. I don't take away anything significant from here. This is the most important financial pack, and let me just get them right. I was working on these, and that's why few bar chart. I'll turn them to Heikanashi for our ease. Bank Nifty's ratio, finance ratio, PSU bank, PSU ratio, private bank, private ratio. Relative strength is not there in any one of them. Finance, however, maybe can improve. It's improving a little bit. If you go by our M1, M2 momentum indicator, the only ratio chart where we see improvement of momentum is the CNX Finance. If this turns around, finance will be a huge outperformer from here on. So finance can lead the market going forward, which means Bank Nifty can go back to an all-time high and lead the market. Now, I've been saying this for over a month and a half now, that keep an eye on the Bank Nifty, and especially the private sector ones, because this is where we can find some movement. PSU Bank is clearly underperforming. So we are purposely staying away from that PSU Bank. That view stays. Okay? And this is our sectoral and I had shared this, I had told you this last week, that this entire arrangement is in a clockwise manner. I have kept CNX IT right over here at the left corner, top left corner. After Bank Nifty, this is the most important sector in terms of weightage. Then comes energy, then comes FMCG, then comes auto, ऐसे करके it goes in a clockwise manner. ठीक है? So IT में क्या हो रहा है फिर? What's happening in IT? IT is looking wonderful, no problem. We continue to stay bullish. एनर्जी में क्या हो रहा है? अपार्ट फ्रॉम द फैक्ट कि एक स्लैंट डाइवर्जेंस से हम गुजर रहे हैं मंथ आफ्टर मंथ, कुछ खास हो नहीं रहा है. बट इफ आई जूम इन, आई हैव अ नेगेटिव हाइकन आफ्टर अ लॉन्ग टाइम. द लास्ट नेगेटिव हाइकन जो CNX एनर्जी के वीकली चार्ट पे बना था, दैट वाज बैक इन 18th of March. So now we have a similar looking. These are the first signs of price weakness. We will see whether we get a follow through or not. So energy, we have to keep back of our mind, okay, whether we get any sign of slowdown or not. FMCG, no problem. Auto is giving us a bit of a sign of slowdown, just like energy. चलिए zoom in करते हैं. Now I don't have a typical red icon जैसे यहाँ पे बना था, but signs are there कि ये slow down हो रहा है. ठीक है. सो ऑटो को थोड़ा ध्यान में रखना पड़ेगा, एनर्जी को थोड़ा सा ध्यान में रखना पड़ेगा. FMCG एंड IT में कोई भी कॉन्ट्रेरियन साइंस, आई डोंट सी एनी कॉन्ट्रेरियन साइंस देयर, राइट. सो दैट्स ऑल राइट. फार्मा में आते हैं, ब्यूटिफुल लुकिंग चार्ट, स्टे पुट. metals, T1 T2 indications, M1 M2 indications have clearly synced on the downside. थोड़ा सा zoom in करते हैं. And we do see that Heikens had started to deteriorate, pull back, further deterioration. Now over the last 3 weeks, a positive Heiken followed by pullback or range-bound price activity. This is what the weekly chart is telling us. So, अगर if इस green Heiken के high को निकाल देता है, then we are looking at a bounce back, consolidation and an extension. However, अगर इस हाई को it cannot cross and it stays somewhere here, then the chance of the drift will stay. तो देखना पड़ेगा. Next couple of weeks will be interesting for metals. Consumer durables, no problem. Real estate. We saw a beautiful move coming in from DLF, and I think in our yesterday's class, morning class, we talked at a length about DLF. Oberoi Realty का मूव आपने देखा होगा. आई थिंक फ्यू ऑफ यू मस्ट हैव गॉट ऑन बोर्ड बिकॉज हमने Oberoi Realty के ऊपर इतनी बार डिस्कशन किया, एंड दैट ब्यूटिफुल मूव अबव 1800. आई लाइक दैट मूव रियली वेल. सो make or break, definitely make or break for the CNX Realty. थोड़ा सा zoom in करके देखते हैं. What has happened is it gave us a negative Heiken here, consolidated a little bit with it's not consolidation because range ज़्यादा है, fell hard. Then उसके बाद 1 2 3 4 5 हफ्ते से ये टाइम पास कर रहा है. This is essentially trading in terms of time. This is trading in terms of price. यहाँ पे price movement है, यहाँ पे price movement नहीं है, price oscillation है. So is this bullish? No. For this to turn bullish, अपने को एक breakout चाहिए, अपने को एक अच्छा खासा green Heiken चाहिए, etc. You know the recipe. On the other hand, अगर ये घुमा देता है और ये lows तोड़ देते हैं तो ये फिर से extension होगा. So any kind of a trade in DLF or whatever stocks that we had discussed yesterday, थोड़ा सा अपने को on our toes रहना पड़ेगा. We don't want to get into a breakout failure. देख के तो ऐसा लगता है, by the look of it seems, and by the look of DLF and the other stock, it seems it's trying to catch up with the market and go up. So fingers crossed, let's see if everything falls in place. ठीक है? So that's more or less our sectoral views. I think it's not going to make a huge difference the way we were preparing for the last, I think, month or two. And on the screen it is very clear. हम लोग अपने weekday classes में हमेशा यही ऑब्जर्व करते हैं. मार्केट जब खुलता है हम लोग ऑब्जर्व करते हैं बाजार में हो क्या रहा है, एंड दैट इज द फैक्ट दैट इट्स अ स्टॉक स्पेसिफिक मूवमेंट इन द मार्केट. निफ्टी आप ध्यान में रखिए या ना रखिए, उससे बहुत ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है. बट हाँ, those days, few days, it's giving a one-way fall and a one-way rise. That is when we have to be a little careful. So we'll continue to do our best in stock identification. We will continue to do our best in terms of our discipline that we carry out during our trades. And just, prepare for the worst and hope for the best. All right. So that's it. That's my views about the market and the sectors. Like every Saturday session, now I'm going to quickly jump to your doubts and questions, and we'll quickly take a look at the positions which we have kind of accumulated over the last few months. All right.